Hello, this is Ian, Somerset News Network. I'm worried about the attitude and the language that transgenders and their supporters are using against the ordinary population, meaning me. They blamed, after the court case in the week, when the Supreme Court defined what a woman is, an adult human female. A transgender man is not a woman. That's what the court said. They haven't changed the law. They haven't rewritten the act. They have clarified the meaning of the act. And what we've had is bad actors persuading the government that the meaning of the act means something different than it does. I've had that with me campaigning about the Bill of Rights, which is one of my things. I read the Bill of Rights. I try and understand the words of the paper and what they mean. When I worked for the civil service, they found out that I could read the Wildlife and Countryside Act of 1968 and the Firearms Act of 1968, understand how they work together and understand how they work in practice through my personal knowledge of how things work. And I used to get called up. I was in one department and the wildlife section would phone me up and say, Ian, when you're having a cup of tea, come down and have a chat. And then they'd fire questions at me. So I was an advisor, unofficially, to the biodiversity section of the wildlife department in the Department of the Environment. I worked for another section of the Department of the Environment. And they were quite surprised that I could read an Act of Parliament and understand what it says. Anyway, they asked me a question and I didn't know the answer. So I said, I'll look at it tonight and I'll let you know in the morning. When I came home, I got the Countryside and Wildlife Act out. I got the Firearms Act out, because I had them on the shelf above my computer, because I was using them for me writing to make sure that I said the law right if I was advising somebody on the law if they were going shooting or fishing or ferreting. So I worked out the answer to the question. I can't remember what it was. And I wrote in the civil service, you write a minute. It was an A5 piece of paper, and it was just a note explaining. So I wrote it out. We didn't have a computer in those days. Longhand it was. I had an electric typewriter, but just for a minute I thought, wow, why not just write it out? And I explained what I thought. In the morning, we had grids, and you put the name on it, and then you scrub the name out and put the next guy on, and it would go through the system. So I put the lady's name on it, slipped it in, and sent it through the messenger service. That minute ended up in Whitehall, in the Department of Environment in Whitehall. It had gone to the AA, the AO, the HEO, the grade 7, and up to London. And what happened is, as the note that I put on went through the file, they edited it, changed it, told me I was wrong. By the time it got to London and got to the solicitor who was in the Department of the Environment, he agreed with me and said, Ian's right. And the file came back, and I was called into the office. Ian, thank you very much for your minute. This was about, I think, 2 weeks later. Ian, we've read the minute, and we thought it was wrong, and we've edited it and sent it up, but London agrees that you're right. So, when it comes to law, I sort of got some idea of what I'm doing. Not going to say I'm the expert, I got half an idea of what I'm doing. But I read the Bill of Rights. And one of the things that happened, I know this is a long-winded story, but you will get there in a minute, is I was talking about the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech debate. And it says, the freedom of speech and debate or proceedings in Parliament cannot be questioned in any court or place outside of Parliament. That's it. That little word or in it, now if I apply that to the Wildlife Act and the Countryside Act and the Firearms Act, that little word or splits the two into two. So we all have the right of free speech and debate. Now we come to the Gender Act, the Equality Act that the law was looking at. LGBTQ, gender activists, cult, woke, libtards, they were explaining to the government that the Act of Parliament said something more than it did to change it in their favour. See where it's going? This is what I found, is people change the meaning of things by not understanding how things work in practice. But the transgenders and LGBTQ people, they changed the wording of it, or the meaning of the wording of the Act, to support their cult ideal, their political theory. I just think that's wrong. And because they've lost, the language that they were using at this demos is absolutely frightening. Like I said in my last video, they're calling me transphobic. I have not got a fear of transgenders. It's up to them. But they're also having a go at the lesbian coalition that took the court case to the Supreme Court, for Women Scotland, which is a lesbian coalition. And they're also having a go at them. Well, surely, if they're lesbians and they're LGBTQ, they should be supporting them. Do you see what's happening? The trans world, woke trans world cult, is changing the meaning of things. The liberals, gay and bisexuals have started their own organisation because they have split with LGBTQ. Or however many alphabet letters they put on it now. We can't let fringe activist groups control what the government does. Oh, you can't say anything against it. You've got shh. Why not? If I think they're wrong, why shouldn't I say something? It's not a hate crime. It's not malicious. I just think they're wrong. And why shouldn't I say that they're wrong? They're denying the law. And they've threatened to kill people in the Lesbian Alliance. Well, I thought that was them anyway. No, the lesbian alliance, they're real women. They just want safe space for women without men in them. And I'm going to support them. Every real woman supports them. I haven't met a lady that thinks the decision was wrong. Every ladies I've met over the last 5 days have all agreed with the decision of the Supreme Court. It's got to tell you something. Some of my buddies are a bit, I'm not getting involved in that, I ain't going to say nothing. Well, I will. You know, if we go down this woke cult political ideals, this country is turning into Sodom and Gomorrah in front of our very eyes, along with the grooming gangs, to allow people in grooming gangs to get away with it without protecting the children. You know, people have lost their moral compass. The police, the social workers, and the politicians. And the same's true about transgenderism, if that's the right word to use. But transgenderism seems a good one. You know, we've got to get back to common sense and use our moral compass. And let's get a level playing field. Transgender and LGBTQ cannot be or have more rights than we have. It's simple. It's not complicated. It's what the act meant. The Supreme Court said it. Anyway, I think I've talked for long enough. This is Ian, Somerset News Network. Bye bye. If you agree with me, put a comment down below. Put a thumbs up. And if you think I'm right, share it. Because that's the only way that we can get the message out and stick together. The 99% of us that got common sense. Bye bye.